Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for spending the next few minutes with us today, and I mean few minutes literally, talking a little bit about virtual support groups, the ins and outs of a computer-based support group. Again, my name is Jennifer LaRegina, and I'm a nurse with the ALS Association, Greater Philadelphia chapter here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania of the United States. Sorry, I don't know why that keeps doing that. So many of us here are familiar with the functions of peer-to-peer support and how important it is to both the giver and the receiver. It has physical and psychological benefits. It's truly a win-win situation. So why is it that we're always scratching our heads trying to figure out why more people aren't coming out to support groups? So there's many reasons that we can't change. However, there might be some things that we can do about the logistic reasons preventing people from coming out to get support, having to do with the severity of disease, the distance it may take or time it may take to travel to get to an ALS-specific group, as well as the cost of getting to that group. So knowing this, we thought, well, what can we do? What can we do to extend the reach of peer-to-peer support and decrease those logistic obstacles of the in-person groups? We're offering virtual peer-to-peer real-time audio and video groups using user-friendly mainstream technology that's cost-free, as well as taking into consideration HIPAA guidelines. Currently, we have 2 groups up and running. We started with caregivers on this journey. Many of you may know that there is actually higher rates of depression and stress in our caregivers than there is in our persons with ALS. And the other reason we started with caregivers is we wanted to learn how to use the technology, find out if it works, and how to troubleshoot before offering it up to persons with ALS who may have communication or physical barriers that would be a little more challenging to do these groups. Both the groups we run monthly, about an hour over the lunchtime hour. And interestingly, they have always been female caregivers. We have had no male caregivers come on to these monthly groups. We got to work on that. So what is the benefit of these virtual groups? Well, what we found out is we can actually connect caregivers who would have never, ever been connected before. We eliminated the geographical boundaries. We have caregivers coming onto our calls from hundreds of miles spanning the 3 states that we cover in our geography. There is no cost of travel to our caregivers. There is no cost of hiring a caregiver so that caregiver can get out and come. And we are using a technology that does not cost the families who are coming onto the call either. Additionally, they feel much more comfortable coming onto the group because they are sitting in the safety and comfort of their own home. And we've eliminated the severity of the disease from the factor of attending a group because now folks with somebody who's newly diagnosed or somebody who perhaps is vented or near end of life on hospice all can come onto the group from the comfort of their own home. But it's not without challenges. Technology and its glitches. We have all heard, have you logged in and logged back out? Have you shut it down and turned it back on? Plug and unplug. We go through that also trying to get through our virtual groups. Additionally, the differences in mediums of both the facilitators as well as the participants. For example, if somebody's on a laptop or a tablet, the screen looks different. If somebody's using a Windows or a Mac, the controls are in different locations. So they're all things that pose interesting situations, which leads us into knowing that the facilitators don't have to be experts in technology. I'm far from it. As you can tell, I can't get this microphone to the right place where it's not making that noise. But you do need to not be afraid to troubleshoot just a little bit when you're running one of these meetings. Not being in person is kind of a unique thing during a group. You're not able to read nonverbal cues as easily as being in person, as well as you're not able to reach out and touch someone or pass the tissue box along the line if it's one of those groups. Additionally, face it, people are afraid of technology. They're afraid to try this out. They don't know if they can do it. It's something new. And we now added a factor in of a little bit of pre-group prep time for the facilitators, and I'm going to get to that in about a couple slides here. So it's definitely similar to our in-person groups. Most of you are familiar with these points of groups, although our speakers are not limited to geographics. So we can have a speaker from literally anywhere in the world, if they're willing to wake up at that point in time, be on one of our virtual groups and talk about a topic. So, differences. Back to that staff time, what we found out is we actually meet on our chosen medium, which is currently WebEx. We meet with each new member and do a trial run meeting with them so that they will be comfortable with the technology. They'll know how to get on. They'll know what to do. They'll know where they'll see people. We do that with each member who wants to attend before their first time attending the group. We also have a shorter is that better? Look at that. Listeners. Okay, we offer a shorter meeting time. It's kind of tough to sit on a phone or sit in front of a computer for a length of time. It's a lot harder than being in person with someone, so we do limit the meetings to an hour or less. We've now added a unique hesitancy to attend based on technology. And something that we certainly learned from experience was the location of the facilitator as well as the participants is very important during a virtual group. Any background noise, privacy, the internet connections, they all affect the quality of the virtual group. Sometimes we have to encourage interacting in a little bit different of a way. Perhaps if your technology only allows for 6 faces on a screen, the other 2 faces, or however many, may be on the next screen. So Sally, who's on screen 1 talking about something that happened, may not know that Susie on screen 2 is really interested in that point and shaking her head and agreeing with what she just heard. We also limit the number of participants, and that's based on the technology we're using. Many times they will tell you how many can be on a call, as well as the shorter meeting time. We want to make sure that everybody has a chance to share and participate if they can. But don't be afraid. Very few of our participants or facilitators were actually virtually literate when we started this journey. We kind of begged our coworkers and staff, please come on with us, please try out this system, please try out your tablet or your smartphone with us so that we can learn it and be able to then come on a call with, some of our attendees, we had to tell them how to turn their computer on. That's sometimes what we're dealing with. So we really needed to be able to learn what they were going to see before we tackled it ourselves. We do require an RSVP. The current way that anybody can come on a meeting, we need to invite them, and that's because we wanted to be prepared. We also wanted to make sure that we trained them and knew that they were going to come on and we could have a good nuts and bolts meeting going on once they got on. Back to that pre-group training session. And a final thing that we do is we actually open up the meeting space a half hour early. And that allows people to log on, get situated, get their cup of coffee. It makes sure that we can work out any glitches they might be having that day with their internet or their computer or their smartphone. Things you consider when you're looking for that technology you want to use. There's so many options out there. The sky is the limit. And there's ups and downs to both. Nothing has been perfect that we've tried. You want to look at cost. Literally, you can do this for free. I am not kidding. This can be a free venture for your chapter or your nonprofit. You want to look at if there's an amount of minutes that you're limited to or an amount of meetings that you're limited to for using that piece of technology. You want to consider HIPAA if that's a concern for you, the HIPAA compliance. What can it be used on? We found that some systems have limits when you're on a tablet or a smartphone, so you want to make sure that it's going to be friendly as to as many devices as you need. The amount of participants, again, there could be a visual and an audio limit. You could see both from that piece of technology. And if you're offering it to pals, this probably really comes into play. Does the system that you're using, does the modality that you're using have the ability to chat, mute, and turn off the video? That's very important to be able to do that. We've tried a few different versions. VC is actually something that advertises for healthcare. It is HIPAA compliant. We've done a little trial of Skype, although just be aware, Skype does store chat conversations on their server, so it's really not HIPAA compliant if you're concerned about that. And currently we are using WebEx, which is a subscription-based service that our chapter actually already had a subscription for, so it's not costing us anymore. Here's some other options out there I found online. Again, ups and downs to both, the sky's the limit. And there's certainly ones that are more social and more healthcare oriented. And she didn't stand up yet. I can't believe I'm not out of time. Okay, okay. All right, thanks a lot. I should have kept my mouth quiet. So anyway, the next couple slides I'm not going to be able to go through here, but I will happily share my slides with anybody. Just reach out to me and I'll email them to you. I obtained the information I have on the next few slides from the websites as well as our personal experiences with them. Again, VC is HIPAA compliant. We did have some problems using it on tablets and portable devices, and it was free. Skype, again, according to their website, they're secure and encrypted, but not considered HIPAA compliant. And with Skype, one of the things to realize is you may have somebody actually see that you're online and try to dial in to join your meeting, and that might not be what you want happening. And again, WebEx is what we're currently on. What we have found, our ideal number is less than 8 participants. I know that doesn't sound like many, but when you're doing less than an hour, juggling technology, 8 is more than enough as far as we're concerned. So the end all is, does it really work? And that's really what we wanted to find out. You know, does this benefit as much as in person? And we asked our experts. We continue to poll them regularly to see how they're feeling about it. As you can see, I have some comments attached here. People are extremely thankful for this. They feel that it is more beneficial because they don't have to get out of their house, they don't have to change their schedules, and they still feel connected with people who are specifically going through what they go through. And I really, really, really like the last comment. Thanks for hosting this group. It is a godsend. To me, that really tells me it's working and doing what it's supposed to. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. It just came on time for me because it's something we discussed back home about doing, because we do have a geographical issue. But my concern is from my staff perspective, because I have social workers running regular support groups, and they told me, oh, I can't do that. So do you think you need the same set of skills, or you have to be more technically oriented, because social workers are kind of reluctant of doing with that? But after you log in and everything, do you think it's the same skills you use for a regular support group?
Yes, the traditional facilitator role is definitely present, absolutely. And you know, once everybody's set up and you have a smooth situation started, really it goes into just that traditional role, with perhaps the facilitator needing to be a little more aware of making sure she or he sees everybody. So if it happens to be 2 screens going on, you know, flipping back and forth is what we found, because we want to know if somebody's emotionally having an issue, or if somebody felt strongly at a point, we want to be able to bring them into this conversation. So the traditional role is absolutely still there. The technology part, I'm a nurse. I don't have any training in technology other than 2 teenage children. And there's 2 of us that facilitate. Jennifer Clapper is the other nurse, and she's also a nurse with no training in technology. So again, you know, those staff, begging the staff to let us play on those sites is what really helped us learn how to make it the best situation. Did that answer your question? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. That was fascinating. We've been debating this as well. My question is this taking the place of your real-time support groups in person or in addition to?
Right. We are offering this in addition to all of our traditional support groups. We have not ended any of the traditional support groups, nor do we plan on it. What happens in my geography, I cover 19 counties, and so that's a quarter of the state, and there's just not that ideal place to house an in-person support group, nor is it feasible to expect to have enough staff to drive to all different places. So we decided to start offering these so that we could extend the reach of our peer-to-peer support. And it really has worked. We have literally from every geography, we have somebody that comes on at one time, which is kind of exciting. It's a neat thing.